4 as Toastmasters clubs, Speakers Den, Spoken World, Capitaland, and Fractal Bengaluru. Let's have a huge round of applause for this rendezvous meeting, which is a collaboration of 4 clubs. Now, we have gathered here to discuss upon a very interesting theme, which is why should you read? How should you read? Should you even read? So these are the questions that we kind of grew up with. Every time you would make an excuse to your mother that you don't want to read, you would ask her this, should I even read? Is that even important? And once we broke out of that shell that, okay, maybe I should read, then how is it that I should read? So I feel that all these questions that are there in the part of the theme will bring out very interesting responses. On a personal front, I started off with not so avid reader. I would always make excuses as to how it's going to, like do away with the originality in my thought process. I would get influenced by people and all my originality is going to get drained out. But gradually I realized that it becomes the starting point of the originality. Until you absorb the information around you, you cannot really ever become original yourself. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what you feel about the theme, how you choose to answer all of these 3 questions. Now, talking off the ground of the meeting, as we proceed, there are a few things that we'll take care of. Zoom moderator, can you please mute Partha? Thank you. So firstly, we'll keep our phones on the silent mode so that there's no disturbance. Since the meeting is taking place in a hybrid mode, it's more important for people sitting there in the room to keep their phones on silent. Secondly, we'll avoid movement while a speaker is speaking because, of course, it distracts them, and we'll try to ensure that we are a good audience to them. And thirdly, we'll be mindful of addressing topics such as sex, religion, and politics. May I also request all of you to rename yourself as role_your name. So supposingly I am the SAA and I've renamed myself as SAA_Vartika. If you are a division director, an area director, or any of the area or division officers, I request you to rename yourself as AD_your name or DD_your name. So you can see that functionality coming at the 3 dots beside your window, and you can click on rename and start renaming yourself. Let me now hand over the stage to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Sake. Now, to introduce him, he is the presiding officer of the Spoken Words Toastmasters Club. He loves to travel and read books. I think the second part very well aligns with the theme today. And he has a very interesting mission. He says his mission is to eliminate single-use plastic from the environment. So over to you, Toastmaster Sake, to take the meeting forward. Let's have a huge round of applause for him. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, am I audible?
Too loud. It's echoing.
Hello? Now it's fine?
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Others can turn
Yes,
off
it's fine.
speakers.
Thanks, Vartika, for wonderful introduction. Fellow Toastmaster and all my dear guests, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks, everyone. So, finally, we are here to the Rendezvous meeting. I remember from past 2 months, me and Tanmay were planning to have a Rendezvous meeting, but we are not able to execute this. And today, finally, we are able to execute this. Can we have a huge round of applause for each one, every one of you? From Indranagar, from Whitefield, and different parts of Bangalore, and everyone in the offline meeting also. So I want to ask you a question about countable noun. Okay. So, for example, a group of birds is called flock, correct? So similarly, a group of musicians is called as band. A group of soldiers is called as army. Okay. So a group of people who are inspired and motivated to improve their communication leadership style is called as Toastmasters. Similarly, a group of Toastmaster club came for a meeting is called as Rendezvous.
Rendezvous.
So, and we have a huge Okay. So with this, I want to open meeting number 195 for Speakers Day Toastmaster Club. Meeting number 64 for Fractal Analytics. Meeting number 84 for Capitaland. And meeting number 68 for Spoken Word Toastmaster Club. I also want to acknowledge the presence of current District Director DTM Rishabh Mehta. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Area City Director Toastmaster Amut Siva. Co-Director DTM Priyadarshini Shahu. So now I want to hand over the stage to the second presiding officer of today's meeting, who is having a 10 years of experience in company, as well as is the current president of Capitaland Toastmaster Club. Let's welcome Toastmaster Aloysius on the stage, please.
Thank you so much, Toastmasters Saket, for this brief introduction. I would take this opportunity to welcome all the distinguished guests, leaders, role takers for this rendezvous meeting. Thank you so much for joining. Leaders are made and not born. To me, Toastmasters Club is a platform where individuals can actually develop their personal skills, communication skills, and also develop the leadership skills. We in Capitaland Toastmasters Club have been trying to achieve that over a period of time. And this would be, if we had a meeting yesterday, this would have been the 25th meeting. So having said this, Capitaland is actually a real estate company and commonly known as ITPL. So if you see, it's called International Tech Park Bangalore, and we are in the business of making business parks, managing, leasing, and maintaining. So with this, we have a good number of people who are capable of joining, and we have a good bandwidth. I have joined Capitaland close to 10 years back, and I take care of the physical security function for Capitaland. With this, I like to bring about the mission. The mission is about empowering individuals so that they can grow to become great leaders. It's about empowering, providing a positive and a supportive environment. Our core values, as we all know, integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And our tagline for today is where leaders are made. It's none other than the Toastmasters Club. With this, I would not like to take much of your time, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call upon those who have joined for the first time to say a few words. So before I start, yes, we have Mr. Sanjay. Please.
Good morning, everyone. And actually, it's my second time, so I think after today I will be called as a guest. But yeah, like the introduction of myself is basically, I'm an educator by profession. I work with Byju's as a senior manager, and I kind of try to make learning more fun in whatever ways possible. And I kind of am very passionate about education in general, and that kind of came from, I think, in the last year of college, like when I was graduating, and then I started teaching these slum kids. And I realized, I connected the dots that actually education can solve a lot of problems in one shot. So I kind of picked up that profession, and I am into the profession right now. And I will be in that profession, like, I don't know for ages, right? So that is what I am, and I'm here to kind of connect a lot of interesting people, learn a lot from them, become a Toastmaster, obviously. Right? And obviously take it like further ahead, whatever is possible. So that is about myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give them a big hand. Now we'd like to call upon Sukriti to say a few words. She is the guest for today.
Dear I'm Sukriti. I'm an analyst by profession. I currently work in music law. I got to know about Toastmasters first meeting, or even knowing a little about what happened with Toastmasters. I got to know about Toastmasters from Tanvir. Basically, every time we used to meet up on Saturday and something, and he was always about this Sunday he has to go for Toastmasters. And I think that's what intrigued me. That he was so passionate about this, even though for after all this time, and that intrigued me that I should have a look as well myself. And let's see, I hope there's always hope for improvement, and I hope I can become a better version being here.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round. Now I'd like to call upon Dev Jyoti, who's there online. Can you please introduce yourself and say what you feel about Toastmasters?
Good morning, everyone. Actually, I joined for the first time, and I quite admired Toastmasters, the community, from a long time. And recently, one of my seniors, through him, I got to join this amazing community. So I just wanted to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to be here. And the topic for today is really awesome, and I look forward to know and learn much more from you.
Thank you so much. I also see Mr. Lokesh, who's joined as a guest. Lokesh, could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, am I audible?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Lokesh. I'm from Mumbai. I'm doing my PhD at IIT Bombay. I'm a Toastmaster at District 98, and I had been a Toastmaster since 1 year. So I was looking to see how Toastmasters Club is going in Bangalore. So I got an opportunity, and I learned that there is a four clubs are meeting today in Bangalore. So I took this opportunity to attend this meeting and see how things are going here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this meeting.
Introduce Mr. Venkatesh. He's also joined as a guest. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm audible.
Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I'm from Bihar district, Gaya. Recently, I have graduated from BSc Mathematics. This is my first meeting in hybrid mode, and I want to inculcate leadership qualities like removing my fear from public speaking and improving my thinking skills. Looking forward. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Venkatesh. I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of GPR and Sunil. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand. Yeah, before I hand over to the stage to the Toastmaster of the day, Agnew, few words about himself. He was the district champion ISC 2019. He was the district finalist ISC and Table Topics 2021. He was the division winner evaluator 2020, path breaker, dynamic leadership, 20 plus educational sessions across the club. Ladies and gentlemen, with such a lot of accolades behind him, please give him a big hand. Look forward to Mr. Agnew taking over the stage as Toastmaster. Thank you so much.
If people just have a seat, we can sit. This is not an issue. We have enough amount of chairs. Also, I wanted to test the speakers, but now I realize that's not possible. So I'm going to speak loud, very loud for people out here. So just be prepared, deal with it. I cannot do anything about that. So how many guests are here right now? Whoa, yeah, the camera is falling down. This is the kind of start which I wanted. I'm rocking it now, right now. Thanks, Priyanka. Thanks for bringing so much fun in everybody's life. Yeah, that really helped. Everybody else, how many guests are here in the room right now?
Three.
Oh, you just came in.
I'm a guest over here. So I'm a member of Toastmasters.
Okay, that's right.
Okay, so and now everybody who's in the room currently, how many of you read 3 books last year? Oh man, we read one bunch of it. I know, sir. I've also read your book. I remember that. Fine. And how many of you read more than 5 last year? Really? But now, that was the point. Like when it all began, I had this question because 3 years to 4 years ago, I didn't used to read at all, fine, at all. And I always used to think, why should we even read? What's the point of all of this? Fine. Across the time I started reading, I read a few books, and then a few of the questions started taking place. Fine. And what this session is about is me. And I tell you, each of these questions, sometimes I had an answer, but I did not understand the answer. Sometimes I did not have an answer. And sometimes I did not even understand the questions to begin with. So it took me around 3 years in order to form these answers. This is what the session is going to be about. Fine, everybody cool? Cool. Fine. Now, since it's kind of very thanda right now, so what I'm going to do is, yeah, it is, man. Everybody's afraid. But you know what I really like? Sakir came in, his hands were shaking. The sir came in, his hands were shaking. So I really like that how everybody's finally feeling the fear of performing on stage. It's really good. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to exacerbate the fear. So anybody. So the first thing is, what is your favorite book? What have you read? Just come on stage and do it. Fine. People online, you can also do it. But I really like the offline guys. They're really afraid. I'm loving it. Fine. I just love it. I'm sadist. Thank you. So anybody, come on. People raise their hands. Sir, yeah, please. You're not even looking in my direction. It's a strategy.
Okay, thanks, Arjun.
Yeah.
All right. So the first book which I read last year is something called "You Are Not So Smart," and it challenges our hidden biases, heuristics, and fallacies that we very often use in life in order to avoid very intense decision making. So, for example, sometimes when you meet a new person and you may not know a lot about him, but you can quickly jump to a conclusion by just using a heuristic. And it really challenged me to think that in many of the big life decisions we make, like career choices or what elective to pick at college, there is some amount of extra effort. If we put in that, it can actually, in the long run, once you make the decision, you'll be happy that hey, you didn't take a shortcut. So yeah, I think that was my
Yeah. So, man, thank you so much. Anybody else would like to attempt? Please, sir. Just give your knowledge on all of us, please.
I was here for listening.
Sandeep wanted to say something.
Huh?
That's okay. I mean, I will please let him go ahead. I will do it next.
Yeah.
So Sandeep, you can go ahead first. Go ahead. All right. All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Agniv, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot. I think he has set the tone for something which was quite interesting for years for me. Reading books. I think the last one I read was Factfulness by Hans Rosling. Obviously, it was on my to-do list for long, and finally did this. What is Factfulness all about? I think it's a book we should never avoid reading. If everyone can do this, I think that's something which I would recommend. What does Factfulness talk about? It's about the instincts that humans have and how we tend to basically assume things based on these instincts. There is something called, like, for example, I tell you, there is a negativity instinct about something. We immediately think that, no, I'm going to speak today, definitely I'm going to fail. That's the first instinct which comes into your mind. So that's something we should do away with. There's a linear instinct which says population will grow at a certain rate, correct? So the population does not grow at a straight line rate. It always grows in curves. So that's an instinct which is developed in us and we should do away with it. He's done a lot of research in this. If you see how Hans Rosling has written it, you would derive a lot of inspiration from it. I can go on and on about this book, but this one book, I think, apart from Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, which I feel are the best books which I would have read in my 300 odd books I have read. So yeah, thanks. That's about it. Yeah.
Can you type the name of the book in the chat?
Sure. Yes, I could do that. Thank you so much, Agniv, for the time.
Okay, yeah. Meanwhile, by the time
One book I read, I think,
couple of years back was this Homo sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, and that is the book which I think everyone should read. I mean, it's one of the fantastic books if you are interested in psychology, philosophy, or just want to understand how things evolve or have evolved. Right? The other thing which I was interested in was Indian mythology, the Indic way of life. So I had read a book from this trilogy of the Ramayana by Amish Tripathi, right? About Ravan, Sita, and one. It improves your perspective in the sense because we have seen the old Ramayana and all that stuff. And there is one Valmiki Ramayana, I don't know if most of the people don't know. In one of the versions of that Ramayana, it was Sita, Goddess Sita, who killed Ravan. So all those perspectives Amish has put beautifully in that book. And I think if you are someone who is interested in those kind of books or areas, you should give them a try. Yeah. Thank you so much.
We're kind of already running short on time because we started very late. We're still going on. So yeah, I'll go ahead. Also, like I really wanted to call Shubhang so that he can discuss about gangsters. Everyone doesn't know Shubhang is really into gangsters. Every time he comes up, he's like, Bangalore also had a underworld. Good. Good for
Shubhang
you.
is the head of it.
Huh?
Shubhang is
I think so. I think the reason why Shubhang is reading so much is so that he can really polish his skills. And then one fine day we'll see him as the mafia boss. Fine. Even the look, see that, like the way he's looking, red, the complete red background, it just really gives the complete feel of it. So fine, now moving forward. Now, I'll tell you the very first question, which kind of why I came up with this topic. So recently there was this interview. Do you people know who Varun Grover is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a good author, he's a great author. He was asked recently, why should somebody even write poetry? Like leave reading, why should somebody even write poetry? To which Varun Grover answered, that the chair you are sitting on also has poetry. To which my response is, like, that's not convincing. You cannot say that you, a chair you're sitting, you are poetry, I have poetry, everybody's poetry. Whoa. I didn't like that answer. I did not get it. I do not get it. I do not agree to it. I'll give you a better answer. Ready, everybody?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Let me share my screen. Do you know what this number is? Anybody? You'd like to guess what this number is? What do you think?
It's number of rupees won by me.
Thank you for the fact. Yeah. Anybody online? What do you think this number is? Nobody knows? Let me tell you. So, a survey was conducted recently. Does reading actually improve your work performance? CEOs were asked about it. And 42.9% people said that yes, it does improve reading. And then there were even more, like 22.9% people who said it probably does improve the reading. The same reading was represented by multiple papers, Washington Post, Atlantic, Economist. Aren't you convinced already? Aren't you convinced already that you should read? Also, did you realize that the numbers in the pie chart don't add up to 100? I just put it up. Also, the fifth paper is just my name written in reverse. Also, I'm wearing a formal shirt, but under it, I actually have an iron-maiden t-shirt so that I could influence your point of view. What did you do? How? Did you just show the face? It's like,
where do you go shirtless?
Petrol. After that, we'll meet.
You want to make him shirtless?
No way.
But that's the point. Most of the times, what I don't get about reading and what I actually hate about reading is that there's this hustle culture involved. Most of the books which people are reading are like factfulness. Oh my God, it's about facts. Then you have stuff like, yeah, thank you. So you have books about factfulness. You have books like, oh, why should subtle art of not giving up something. Right? So all of these books which actually pressure people, and you listen to these people who come on podcasts and they're like, you know what? You should use your life better way. You're not using your life. Yesterday, I woke up before I slept. In every minute of my life, I spent 2 minutes. In every 2 minutes, I spent 4 minutes. Every 4 minutes, I spent 16 minutes. And in every 16 minutes, 256 minutes. My maths is good. My maths is good. The thing is, hustle culture doesn't actually work. Fine, you cannot get somebody to read just by telling them that you know what you need to do at 42.9%, 78%, 100%. Nobody cares. It's not about it. Now, let me tell you, why was the first time that I realized that maybe why you should read, and I actually asked myself this question. So, has anybody of you read this book known as Capitaland? Few people have. So, in that particular book, now at this point, I am assuming everybody's 18 plus. It's a trigger word. I'm going to bring it in because again. So, in that point, there are two young boys. One of the other guys who's a bully, he ends up raping a child. Fine. Now, the child is a worker to our main protagonist. The main protagonist is very rich, his father is rich, and the child is kind of the son of the worker who works there. Fine. So he sees that boy is getting raped. So my friend asked me, why do you want to read such stuff? It's so sad. What does it make you feel? Why do you even want to read such stuff? Like it's so bad, it's so sad, like you don't need to read it. Now, a subtle detour, but it all makes sense. So recently, I had a debate with my roommate. Fine. Yeah. So I was asking him something, and his response was, "It is impossible." So I asked him why. Then his response was, "Because it is impossible." Then I asked, "Why?" Then he said, "Because it is impossible." Then I asked, "Why?" Why? To which he replied, "Because it is not possible." I was like, yeah, that was my doubt. I was not understanding the meaning of impossible. Baki though, it's like it's a good argument. But that day when I was asked this question that why you should read this book, that's why I also responded. That no, you should read. No, you should read. Why you should read? No, you should read. That is it. I did not process it. It took me kind of some time now to process it. But now I kind of have the answer. Right? The answer is, so in class 12, yeah, this time I get personal also. In class 12, I actually had a girlfriend. Yay! Anyways, so I broke up with her. It was completely my fault. Fine. And I understood it was my fault. I was not giving her time. It was completely my fault. But in the days that followed, she was just being nice to me. But I kept being a big girl. It's another word which I cannot say. It begins with an A, ends with an E. It's a body part in the back. Yeah, all of you get it now. But I kept being that, and I did not understand why. When I read that book, I suddenly kind of did. Because you know what happens after that guy who's the protagonist, he sees that child getting raped. He's guilty. What do you think you'll do if you see your friend go through that? The first thing you see is that everybody will help that guy out. You know, you will see that why does it matter everything. But you know what the guy did? He made sure that his father drives this boy out of his house. Why is he doing that? Because that is how sometimes guilt works. And I realized because I also kind of did the same thing at that point in time. I was guilty, I did not process the emotions properly, so I just decided to be that that's the best way to go. So my point is not that you should read books for that. My point is that there was this one guy in our house who used to say, "Nazar nahi, nazar ye ki dikkat hai." For everybody who doesn't understand Hindi, I really don't care, go understand. No, the thing is, it's not about how things are, but how you see things that matter. And why you should read books is because you can see as many perspectives as possible. Now, before we go ahead to answer how and should you even read the book, I tell you one thing, that number 429 was actually important. Keep thinking about it. Why does it matter? And how much does it matter in your life? Because it does. But before that, when we're talking about perspective, there's another place where you can gain a lot of perspective. Any guesses where?
Toastmaster.
Good. People have ratified all of this. There's no surprise. I'm going to stop making these things. But anyways, we are in a Toastmasters meeting, and like a general Toastmaster meeting, you have the speakers, you have the table topics, you have the evaluation. But before everything else, we must introduce the general evaluator for today. General evaluator for today, Toastmaster. I need to get it in the right time. Sankhya. Toastmaster. Yeah, no, I know it's
And that's why you should read.
Yeah, so he's a management consultant by profession. Also, he was in the theater before. And actually, I've seen Sankhya perform in one of the humor speech contests. I think we all of us evaluated him too, for his humor speech. He's a great speaker. I'm really looking forward to his evaluations. Toastmaster Sankhya.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Agreed. And very good morning. So my role as a general evaluator, and in today's theme, it's like I'm the editor of the book. So whatever good things and whatever scope of improvements that we make, that's the role which I have taken up. I am a good book. I would love to read books, but I don't get time. That's a different story. But in coming up with the roles throughout today, now I am going to be helped by three awesome team members, and they're popularly known as the tag team. So for first, may I request my the timer of the day, Toastmaster Tanmay, to please explain your role.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm not visible on the camera, so let me just wave it. Hi. I will be performing the role of timer today, and for that I will be presenting my screen at appropriate timings. So let me just give you a demonstration for the same. I'll be using a timer which would be visible when you are reaching the appropriate time, and the timing for the speech will be provided by the evaluators. You would be seeing a green light when you reach your let's say 4 minutes for this icebreaker. You will see the yellow light and at 5 minutes, and at 6 minutes you will see a red light. After that, once you're disqualified, your screen will start flashing like there is a SOS, just like that. Now this would be done 1 to 2 minutes for the table topics, 2 to 3 minutes for the evaluations, and 5 to 7 minutes for the speech. If there is any speaker who has a different timing, the evaluator, please take a note, do let me know. I will be presenting the timer report at end of the meeting when called upon by the general evaluator. Over to you, G.
Is it possible for you to show the green, yellow, and the red, because we haven't seen it properly?
Okay.
Is there an option for taste timing?
I will just put a table topic time. But in just a second.
Will you be sharing the screen? Or?
Yes, I would be sharing my screen when the time reaches it, so that people visit in the meeting offline and the online would be able to see my screen. If any speaker is going to present his or her screen, please do let me know in advance so I can arrange for alternate methods. Any speakers? Sorry. Will you be presenting your screen? All right. In that case, I would be presenting you the timing in case of my background using my background. Thank you. Over to you, General Evaluator.
The yellow and the red also.
Yes. I need to change that. Just a second. Green, yellow, and red.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Tanmay. Now, for my second awesome Toastmaster, who is going to play the role of the R counter, and for that, may I request Toastmaster Ayush, please present your objective.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sankhya. First of all, quick audio video check. Am I audible and am I visible?
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, great. So just like the theme for today's meet, speech is also an important part of our lives. And it is a medium through which we communicate verbally and share our thoughts. That's why we all are here to basically improve upon our communication skills. However, at times the usage of filler words such as but, and, so, like, along with the crud sounds such as and so on, hinder our ability to deliver our message effectively. And that's where I chime in for today. I will be the R counter for today's meet, and I will caution you against the use of such filler words and crud sounds by keeping a log of all of these words for you. So, in a nutshell, that's all about my role for today. I will be presenting my report towards the end of the meet when called upon by our general evaluator. So, like without further ado, I will hand over the stage back to our general evaluator, Toastmaster Sankhya.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ayush. Round of applause. Next, there is something, one role which I'm really afraid of, but thank to our grammarian for the day. So for that, may I request Toastmaster Shubham to please present your role objective.
Thanks, Sankhya, for the introduction. So as the grammarian for today, I'll be paying close attention to all the speakers, basically like, paying close attention to their language usage. I'll be making note of both the good usages and the not so good usages. And along with this, it's also as the grammarian, it's also my responsibility to present the word of the day and the phrase of the day. The word of the day is elucidate. It means to make something clear, especially by explanation or analysis. An example of this word, like an example of the usage of this word in a sentence would be, the reasons for the change in weather conditions have been elucidated by several scientists. So the reasons have been made clear by the scientists. And the phrase of the day is hit the books. It means to begin to study in a serious and determined way. An example of the usage of this phrase in a sentence would be, I have to hit the books this weekend as I have 2 exams in the next week. I'll be posting both the word of the day and the phrase of the day in the chat box. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word and the phrase of the day while they're speaking. So yeah, I'll present my report when called upon by the general evaluator at the end of the meeting. Back to you, general evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shubham. A round of applause. Thank you. So that was part of the general evaluation, the team which I have. Now I'll be coming back with my team of 3 musketeers towards the end of the meeting. And now over and back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sankhya. Great key introduction role. Thank you so much, everybody who has taken a role today. Yeah, there's a lot of logistics problems going on. As I speak, I was also downloading photos for one of the speakers who's going to come up next. Yeah, that keeps happening. So I was already excited coming on the stage. So before the evaluator will be introduced, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's the. So before we move ahead, all I have to say is, everybody, chill out. We are coming here to enjoy. I think everybody's feeling really serious right now. They're kind of afraid, and this is really going out to the speakers because some of them are really in. That it's fine, whatever you are, first and the foremost thing which you should do is have fun. Now, keep thinking about that number 429. It does make sense. Also, there might be decimal points somewhere thrown in. Fine. And towards the end, it does have a very important meaning for this whole session. Now, I'll be coming back to the second part of the session, which is how you should speak once the speaker part gets over. But before that, we need to get excited. We need to fill ourselves up with energy. I need that because this is the session which actually people are here for. This is the speakers session. The people will be coming in with prepared speeches. They'll be presenting us. We should be cheering them. I need you to be at the best energy possible. Everybody ready? Yes. Thank you so much. But before I call the first speaker, I must call the first evaluator for today. Toastmaster Sarita. She is a fun-loving person. She's passionate about learning, and she's happy to do a single task well, which I think all of us can learn from her. So Toastmaster Sarita, I think she's online. Can just come on screen and give an introduction for the speech which is going to happen now. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. And it's great to be here. I'm going to be Shauvik's evaluator today. And I'm quickly going to share the purpose of his speech. The purpose of Shauvik's speech today is to share the impact of his communication styles in general. And in particular, he will deliver a well-organized speech on different aspects or some of the aspects of communication. The speech can be humorous, informational, or any style that Shauvik chooses to. It's a level 2 project 1 speech. The pathway is presentation mastery, and the title of his speech is different styles of communication used by players of Indian cricket team. So that's what Shauvik is going to help us with today. Looking forward to his speech. All the best, Shauvik, and back to you, Toastmaster, today.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sarita. It was a really nice introduction, which we did here. But Shauvik, can I have the title of your speech?
Different style of communication.
Thank you. So now, we'll be moving on to our very first speaker for today. This first speaker has just graduated in 2022. Yay, good job. He's very confident for a person who's just started his journey. He really likes helping people through his NGOs, and his favorite people is the brave. And I think he's really brave to come on this stage. So I'd like to invite Toastmaster Souvik with his speech, different styles of communication in the Indian cricket team. So please, Toastmaster Souvik, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmasters the Brave, for that kind words. So before I start with my speech, I have a question. Those of you who are joining us through Zoom, use that emojis to give out your responses, and those of you who are here can show me a thumbs up if your answer is positive, or a thumbs down if your answer is negative. Be very honest, okay? So, are you guys ready? Yes. So, how many of you, before joining Toastmasters, or even before attempting your level 2 project 1, knew that there is something known as different style of communication? Okay, I see mixed kinds of responses. So I was one of those who didn't know anything about that. And after finishing my level 1 project 5 speech, while I was going through the level 2 project 1 evaluation sheet, I came across a sentence, different style of communication. And I became so I became so confused that I called my mentor and I asked him, sir, what is this different style of communication? Is it presentation mastery or the leadership styles? What is it? He said, well, Souvik, I can give you the answer, but I don't want to spoon feed you. Instead of that, I would request you to switch on a laptop, go to Google and explore yourself, find out, then come back to me. And if you have any doubt, I'll be very happy to clarify that. So I followed the orders of my mentor, did the same thing, switched on my laptop, went to Google and typed different style of communication, and I found my answers. So good morning, all my fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Today I'll try to link a different style of communication with our own Indian cricket players. I know we're out of Asia Cup, but don't worry, World Cup apna hai. There are 4 types of communication style. The first being the direct. So as the name suggests, direct. These type of people are very direct in their approach. They are result oriented. They are very ambitious. So can anyone tell me any cricket player who is of this kind?
Virat Kohli.
Well, Virat Kohli could be the right answer, but according to me, it will be Rendezvous. Because he does not care whether he's playing a T20 match or a Test match. He's facing the Shane Warne or the great Brett Lee. He has to hit the first ball for 4 or 6. He's very direct. The second form of communication style would be initiated. So as the name suggests, initiated. This kind of people love to initiate. They are fun. They are always playing those pranks. And for me, that type of people would be Rishabh Pant, because if you see the current Indian team, he is loved by everybody, and also nowadays he is very much into all those controversies. So that will be Rishabh Pant. The third form of communication style would be analytical one. So as the name suggests, analytical. This type of people are very focused. They always analyze things better than others. So for this, any guesses? Who could be that? Correct. MS Dhoni. So if you look in the past, some of his decisions, like whether to promote himself before Yuvraj Singh in 2011 in the World Cup final, or to give the last over to Joginder Sharma in 2007, some of his decisions were so good that that it made us won the World Cup. So he is very calm under pressure. He does not get scared, and is very, all those analysis goes into his mind. The last one would be the supportive one. So any guesses who would be that supportive guy in Indian cricket team or from previous generation? Dravid can be the right answer, but according to me, I would say Saurav Ganguly. So if you see, if you are following cricket for the last 15-20 years, so some of the players who established themselves as a very good player like Yuvraj Singh or Harbhajan Singh, they flourished under Saurav Ganguly because they had the captain's support. Dada was supporting them. He told him that it's okay if you fail, just go out there, explore yourself. Don't get fear. And that was the time when we started winning NatWest Trophy in England or the series in Australia. And well, at last, if you ask me what is the right form of communication style, I'll not be able to answer that. But if you ask me what is the correct form of communication for myself, it would be supportive form. We all have a different kind of communication skills because we all have different personality, our perspective is different, our upbringing is different. So at last, I would like to say that find that right form of communication style for yourself and use it either to convince people or to convince them, to confuse them. Thank you.
It's a tradition which we started forgetting. I was forget all the time. And whenever you come on the Toastmaster stage, we have to shake hands and then leave. It was an earlier tradition, then COVID came up and we stopped shaking hands altogether. But kind of we have ignored COVID for now. It's like, okay, also, yeah, cricket is a great sport. Watch it every day. I remember last time Team India won by 4 goals. But yeah, so it's not about cricket, the only sport which I watch is tennis. But it was indeed a great speech because I think that's where the speech is derived from, the things which you are really interested in. Fine. Now we'll be moving on to the second speech. The second speech title is the longest title I've ever heard. So yeah, I felt it. So I'm gonna read it. I don't know. Anyways, but before we get to the second speech title, I must invite the evaluator. This evaluator is one of our favorite people from 400 Toastmasters. He can currently just unmute himself and tell me to shut up. That is how much authority he has on our job. I really look forward to listening to him speak. He always has good points coming up. He is a coder on weekdays, Netflix addict on Saturdays and Sundays. With this, Toastmaster Dipanjan, off to you.
Yeah, thank you for that gracious introduction for me. Yeah, thanks everyone. Hope everybody is doing fine. And we have the next, the second speech of the day. And the second speech of the day we have, as a speaker, we have Toastmaster Sandeep. And Toastmaster Sandeep Balakrishnan will be giving the second speech. And he has selected the dynamic leadership path, and it's a L1P2 speech. And today he is supposed to speak, or he's going to give a speech with a well-defined purpose, and it has to be a well-structured speech. It can be a speech of any type. So he has the freedom to give a speech on any type, and he will be speaking for, as usual, 5 to 7 minutes. He will be judged on a variety of parameters like clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, so on and so forth. And I will be giving the evaluation when I will be called upon by the general evaluator at the end of the meeting. So Sandeep, over to you. And his speech title is Great Leaders Do Build Good Teams. Great Leaders Do Build Good Teams. Sandeep Balakrishnan.
Thank you so much, Dipanjan. Just to ask Agniv a question, do you create this levels of stress before you start a day for everyone? Because you have to probably, there's a benchmark set and you need to now cross that. Agniv, very difficult. Thank you so much, Agniv, for making it very lively though. Let me start off with the speech which I wanted to elucidate on as the word goes. Good afternoon, Toastmasters. As already introduced, I am Sandeep Balakrishnan. I am attempting my level 1 project 2. The subject is Great Leaders Do Build Great Teams. All right. Guys, no need to hit the books here. I will do the elucidation part. I'm going to win this myth that leaders are probably only good as the team. There is a saying that goes, a pack of donkeys led by a lion will easily defeat a pack of lions led by a donkey. quite a hard-hitting, notoriously demeaning statement, but nonetheless was the most suited for my purpose of driving this point to this very difficult audience, including Agniv and Dipanjan. So, by the way, I was and I'm trying hard not to be classified in the losing lot. Whether a lion or a donkey is up to you to decide, since both were winners. Let's ponder on this premise. Right? Many may argue of poor teams pulling down a leader's performance in many scenarios. This is true for so-called leaders who have been directly tasked to get a deliverable. You can only get as much as the best in the team can deliver. Right? Right or wrong? Right? Wrong? Audience? Can't hear?
Right.
Right? Wrong. If the team is not a team of the leader's choice, we have a question here of the ability of the leader. Again, about books, we spoke about books, right? You should read this book by Jim Collins, From Good to Great, right? He says that should have the right people on the bus. Right people on the bus, मतलब जो बस हम चढ़ते हैं वो नहीं, right people on the team, right? That's the success formula for a successful organization. The earliest speaker, wonderful, he touched upon Saurav Ganguly. For me, he's a classic leader who built a team with a never seen before on the face exterior. Crickety example, I think it connects with most of us here. So I have to put in cricket somewhere. This is how my example goes here. He had the right people on the bus in the first place. That's the point. Getting the right people on the team is a job of a leader. And that's my first submission. A leader is definitely the person who sets the example, right? He is the person who gets the right team. My case rolls on. I say leaders are ones who build teams of persistent consistency. Difficult language use karna pad raha hai. Exemplary performance, unparalleled vision, from the word go. Because in short, they have to lead by example. Now, leadership, as we all know, is as much of an art, as much as a process. It's an art, right? Great leaders drive home greatness in every act and every word of theirs. Toastmasters of spoken word will tend to agree, right? Every word. Leading by example is my second submission. Leadership requires time, and it is imperative that I introduce this August gathering to this highly popular concept of Suna to bahut hoga, time billionaires. You have to work with people who have emotions and feelings, and you have to build a rapport with them to get the best as a team and not as just individuals, right? Time billionaires, if we all understand, is a concept which tend to make greater leaders than money billionaires. And that's something you can read about time billionaires again, if you have to hit the books, right? Now, having said all this, not to keep it boring, but to keep it very precise, leadership is not all this. बहुत बोल लिया leadership के बारे में. I think this is not leadership. Leadership is about people also. Have you improved the best of the team whom you are responsible for? This is not about asking questions. अभी जैसे मैंने पूछा, ये है क्या, right है क्या, wrong है क्या? Giving directions, वो करो, ये करो, yeah? Or nominating. Somebody calls them, you do the speech tomorrow, karo. No, that is not leadership, right? Do you genuinely wish your team members did well in career? How are you helping them? Now we are talking, right? Empathy. Empathy is very much a leader's armory's most important armor, I feel. Being empathetic as a leader is my fourth submission. Don't try this at home with your wife. I think there are some outliers. So let's keep some outliers there. A team without a good leader rarely accomplishes much. It is often limited to being only good as their leader. This is what my submission is. Again, touching upon a book, if you have read George Orwell's Animal Farm, it's a dystopian world, right? Which is the most negative world you would have seen. Everything is happening, which is wrong, right? But that's not the reality. The reality is that leaders are always remembered. Talk about history, those who have stalled enemies. Alexander, even today, is called the Great Alexander, correct? This is my fifth submission. Now, leadership is not about title. Yahan pe bhi I can refer to a book, Leader Without a Title by Robin Sharma. Please go read. Hit the books. It's the character which defines the person. It is not the title. Bhima was half man, half Superman. But he still needed a Yudhishthira to make use of the abilities which he had. Yuvraj Singh, cricket again. Cricket, religion. I don't know. We should not touch upon these things. I think it's part of those no-brainers. But then yes. Cricket. Yuvraj Singh, highly talented, but needs a Ganguly again to make him one of the greatest of all times. Needs a Dhoni to make him the greatest of all times, right? Whole here, my friends, is not sum of the parts. It's bigger than that because there's a leader there. Leaders with strong character. That's my 6th submission. The last bit is, jab bhi Agni War, somebody asks the questions, you need not have all the answers because readers don't have all the answers. I know there are people in the group who can give all the answers. I'm very much happy staying in the background. Because yes, you don't need to have all the answers. This is my 7th submission of leaders asking questions rather than giving answers. Ask questions. See the best of the leaders around you. They will always be asking you, prompting you, prodding you, asking you that little bit, saying that please answer. Being a smart Toastmaster also means asking a lot of questions, right? Because half of the time the others are talking. My boss thinks I'm a great leader. You know why? He says that, why don't you have an answer? Always he asks me, why don't you have an answer? I think I'm a great leader because obviously he's asking me if I don't have an answer. Great leaders don't have all the answers. That's my last submission. I would close this by an extract, which is again from a book. But then this is something which I say a leader will always have written on his grave. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. I'm 1,000 winds that blow. I'm the diamond glint on snow. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. As Robin Sharma puts in his book, The Leader Without a Title, each one of us are born into genius. Each one of us. Sadly, most of us die amid mediocrities. Leaders are marked out for greatness, for themselves and for their teams. And I still hold on to the point that a team is not... A leader is not good as the team, but it is the other way around. I rest my case. Thank you so much for listening in to me and giving me 7 odd precious minutes of yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Toastmasters, for the great speech. Talk about But yeah, I really like the speech a lot of, while I was hearing you speak, he reminded me of my manager. He used to just like suddenly change the language of speech and he would be like, okay, sir, yeah, I'm listening to that. But yeah, good speech. Also a great props to Dipanjan. As I told him, he has the part to shut me up and he did. He made me skip the introduction. So that happened. Now, before we move further, we have one final speech left in this part of Toastmaster session. This speech is by Toastmaster Rohit and I thought it is by Rohit Poka. So I messaged him and he was like, I don't have a speech. I was like, then who has a speech? Then he has a speech. So yeah, that happened. That's why you should just not read, also prepare well. But before I introduce Toastmaster Rohit Maheshwari, I must introduce his evaluator. His evaluator is Toastmaster Sonal Shailendra. She has a lot of accolades to her name. And here I'll be mentioning just a very few. So she is a qualified telecom engineer. Remember, qualified, not just telecom. Currently working in a century-old furniture business. She is a soft skills trainer, division finalist for TT Evaluation ISC. As I said, many accolades to her name. With this, the evaluator for today, Toastmasters for the portrait.
Thank you, Mr. TMOD. Thank you, Mr. TMOD. The target speaker will be attempting level 1, project 2 from presentation mastery. The purpose of the project is for the member to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. Timer, please note the timing is between 5 and 7 minutes, and I wish the speaker all the very best.
Sorry.
I don't understand.
So with this, we'll be moving on to the speaker. The speaker is somebody who is just started his Toastmaster journey very recently. And I always look forward for him to speak because since then, he has won so many times as the best speaker, as the best TMOD, as the best role taker, that I'm really looking forward to his speech. His name is Toastmaster Maheshwari. He likes playing football, volleyball, likes watching movies and cricket and traveling with friends and family. Now, the title of his speech is Business Lessons from the Streets of India. Business Lessons from the Streets of India. Logistics. Once again, a huge round of applause to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dean. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My speech title is Business Lessons that we all can learn from the streets of India. Before I start with the disclaimer that this speech is inspired by one of the speeches of Captain Rakura. So when I say street, I refer to the unorganized sector in India. I don't know how many of you are aware that close to 50% of India's GDP is contributed by the unorganized sector. We have a workforce of around 500 million, and close to 90% of that is employed by the unorganized sector. So all of you can understand the importance of it, right? And I would say that this so-called marginalized unorganized sectors are doing more innovations on a day-to-day basis than the entire Fortune 500 companies and those unicorns combined to do. Just share my screen, have a look at this image. There's a street vendor selling some festival item. That's wholly related. Right? So this guy and millions of other people like him, they need to change their business model. They need to change their entire inventory. They need to change their entire supply chain, their target segmentation, their pitch 4 to 6, every 4 to 6 weeks. Right? So if you talk about take any big corporate, it takes on an average 5 to 7 years to implement any big business transformation project. So that's the kind of agility and fluidity that these people operate with, right? And this market, what they do those in terms of the transition, in terms of the transformation, they're doing it 10 to 12 times a year. Amazing, isn't it? Right? Now I'm going to tell you one story, a story about small business family from a small part of India. The family consists of 5 people, parents and 3 kids. So these 3 kids used to put up a toy stall in front of the market during the Dashera Mela in their town. Of course, they were inspired by their parents, who are also small business family businessmen, and of course they wanted to earn some money also for themselves. You won't believe this. Kids used to earn enough money from those few hours of business to sustain their pocket money for the entire next year until the next sale. And their stall used to be the first one to get sold out. There were 2 things that impressed me the most. One was about, they were very, very selective about what kind of toys they want to sell, because they themselves were kids, so they knew the trend. They knew what is it that, they were very confident about selling those toys to different kids, other kids. And it also helped them in their inventory management. So they were not full-time businessmen, right? So tomorrow they are going to go back to their school. So they have to ensure that they reduce and minimize the unsold inventory. And that's how selecting those toys very selectively helped them out. Secondly, somebody asked them, okay guys, you're doing so good. Why don't you sell more toys? You're just within 2 hours your stall gets sold out. You can bring in more toys and sell more and earn more. So the kids said, no, we don't want. Why? That's enough for us. Enough. These kids knew what is enough for them then. Most of us in the corporate world realize it only 20 to 30 years after a career, when your cholesterol shoots up, your BP goes high, right? But these kids knew then. I'll also share one more picture. Most of you will be familiar with such street vendors selling some food items, right? I'll tell you a story about one of them. I saw and observed. This guy used to stand up in front of a park in the morning, and what he used to sell sprout salad, because people who are coming out for doing jogging and morning walk used to buy it. In the daytime, afternoon till the late evening, he used to stand in a crowded marketplace selling those bhel pulis and chana chatpatas items. In the night, he used to stand in front of a liquor shop selling a different kind of snack, which is supposed to love by the people. Right? So just see the kind of places he's selecting, the kind of product he's selecting as per the target audience, as per the customer. Right? So what is it that I'm trying to say? What are the point that I'm trying to make with these stories and with this things? One is definitely learning. So I request all of you, next time when you step out, go into the streets and see any of such pavement businesses, please do observe their business model if you're interested in those businesses, and try to talk to them if possible. I can guarantee you that you will make few learnings, you'll learn few things which definitely is going to help you in your day-to-day life, or at least in your personal life or professional life. Secondly, and more importantly, in India today, more than 1 million people are entering the job markets every month, right? And our GDP has to grow literally in double digit if you were to satisfy these people. And we all know it's not going to happen from the organized sector, right? So I would say we don't need 4 to 5,000 crore companies. We need 4 to 5 crore to sustain this. And what we can do, how all of us can contribute here is, one is, I encourage, we all can encourage these people by buying their products and services. So try to show your patronage to these people rather than, the big multinational chains when you go out there. Secondly, you can also help them in different ways. Like you can share your ideas, you can share your intellect, because these people are not that educated, and they really appreciate your ideas and your intellect, which can help them grow their business. It's going to be a major shift in their business, right? And if you are able to persuade these people to implement your idea, the result, the impact you'll be able to see within 2 to 3 weeks time. It will never happen in any of your corporate life. The impact that you can see, the shift that these businesses or your idea is making in the entire, their business model, and that's really will be fulfilling when you go out and you see the person doing good. Right? So I'll just give you a small example. Like there used to be a very small shop in one of the highways. There used to be an auntie who used to cook very good food and sell it out. So people going through that highway used to stop, and whoever knew just used to stop, and she used to sell very, very tasty food at a very nominal cost of, let's say, 15 rupees. Okay, and a lot of people didn't even notice her because it's just a small shop without any name or coding. Nobody knew. Some people only who just tried by luck, they got to know about it. When a group of people, they just once they went there and they found out that she's cooking so good and she's selling such a good food at just 15 rupees. They just gave her an idea. Why don't you put up a board outside? And why don't you increase your price? Because this 15 rupees, when people from Bangalore or Mumbai, they go 15 rupees is nothing for them. You can easily increase the price up to 30 rupees or 50 rupees, whatever you want. And she did the same. And her business quadrupled. Her profit increased shot up 8 times. So that's the kind of shift I'm just, talking about that you all can make. So that's all, guys. By the way, the story from the 3 kids, I'm one of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rohit. A great speech, a great message. All of us really liked it. That was the end of the very first part of our Toastmaster session, the prepared speech section. Everybody, did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Louder.
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to do this once. Now, we'll be moving forward. So, what happened last time? Anybody who remembers? We answered one part of the question. 429. 429. We answered why you should read. Fine. What is the second part of the question?
What you should read.
How you should read. Happens. We'll get there. Now, before I get into how you should read, I have a small exercise. Now, it was a longer one. We'll have, I thought it'd be like, we'll have enough time, but since we don't have enough time, it's just like 2 people. So one of them can be online, one of them can be offline, both of them can be offline, or both of them can be online. Anyway, I would like one of them to be online and offline. Fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the picture, the book cover of a book and the title of the book. And you just have to go on and think that what this book can be about. Fine. Not very long because again, you're not enough time, but just try to guess it out. Fine. You don't have to be right, you don't have to be right. Try to guess it out. Fine. So who's the first volunteer? Lokesh? Did say yes?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Fine. So let's start sharing my screen. Okay. So this is the book title. This is the book title. This is how it looks. Just go ahead. Just try to predict something. I think cameras got it up.
Okay, so I have to tell you about what this book could be about.
Yeah. The book name is Capitaland.
I'm not able to get the title, what it is, but I think this book is about maybe a 13 or 14-year-old guy who has been addicted to cigarettes. And he talks about maybe his life struggles and how he is seeing the society as large. So I think this is what the book would be about.
You know what is weird? He's 100% correct. That is exactly what the book is about. It's about an angsty teenager who smokes, who likes to have opinions about society, and the words kind of signify the thoughts he has. So his all the smoke as well, he's able to develop the thoughts. But well done, sir. Nice one. Do you think you would like reading about this book?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. The second book. Oh, first. Volunteer. Who's the volunteer? I want somebody offline. Sunil sir. Who are the RPM of our Fine, definitely. Yeah, so here's your book. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. That's the poster. You can also look into a much more clear version here. Yeah.
Probably a sci-fi book, something about a utopian future. Looks like somebody. Have you seen that movie Gravity, where that person, the person just discharged from the spaceship? Looks like that kind of cover. So somewhere about the utopian or dystopian future.
Okay. So do you think you would like reading this book? Definitely.
What is it about?
That was our.
What is it about?
Okay, fine. I'll come to that. That was our district RPM. PRM. You see that? So yes, he was right. It's a sci-fi. It's about that how suddenly like there's this bacteria which kind of starts eating the sun of our solar system, and so there's this guy who has to find how to stop this bacteria. It's a great book. I kind of recommend everybody to read it, but that's not the point, right? Now, one last time because you still have so like I think some kind of. So anybody who's going to volunteer?
Pick someone online.
Second page. Who's going to try?
I would like you to ask Pasta because you need.
I would like to try.
Yeah, so I have
Toastmaster Pasha. Okay. So Toastmaster Pasha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is your book, or I can just change it, I can make it easier. So this is your book, 1984. Fine. What is written is Big Brother is watching you. What do you think about this book? What do you think it might be about?
Sir, this book could be about eyesight with insight, sir. There is the third eye. We are all heard about third eye. It is about, I think, third eye. All about third eye, about our instincts and about our intuitions, the life, what we, the life inside, it is all about the life inside, how we live from inside. It is for, I think, totally very regarding our introverts, the people who live from inside, totally 100, all of the time they live from inside. It is about the philosophy about those peoples and the great characteristic futures about that person, like our multi-millionaires, like Jack Ma, Bill Gates, philosophy, something related to about that people that totally live from inside all of the time. They are very smart people. They can imbibe the future, means they anticipate the future with their intuition and instincts, and with their experience and their share these things, sir. So this is a book about insights, sir. Not there is insight means something related to seeing with mind and as well as heart. It is. I look. It is like third eye. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Toastmaster. He was like, it's about introverts, about Jack Ma, it's about fine. But yeah, so 1984, as some people might know, has anybody read 1984? Yeah, so it's a great book. It's a political fiction. It's about this place where everything which you do is being watched and governments try to control you too much. It's a great book. I really recommend reading it. Now, what was the point of this exercise? Fine. The point of the exercise was to tell people, do not judge a book by its cover. All of you are wrong. You should be ashamed of it. No, that was not the point. The point was, we always hear that you should not judge a book by its cover. Fine, and we are like, yeah, man, that's very true. You should not judge a book by its cover. So good. But there's also another point. Should you always judge a book by the story which is trying to tell? Everybody's like, what? Isn't the book always about story? Maybe, maybe not. And this is why I come to the point of how you should read. So now, for the first time, I mentioned you about the hustle culture. Find people who are like, yeah, you should read. Fine. Now there's the second kind of readers. Fine. The second kind of readers are the one who read every line and they're like, oh, this made me cry. Have you seen those? Yeah, I am like whenever you listen to Channa Mera somebody, oh my god! Like all YouTube section comments have this. Like they suddenly like, oh my god, my dog died and that's why I'm listening to this song. Anyways, have a good day. I'm like, yeah, now I'm gonna have a good day. But fine, now people who cry all the time. And unironically, I was also one of those guys. Fine. So I was used to read a book and be like, oh, I used to tell people I was in a very dark place. Like 2020 was very dark. Then I realized light was off, so I switched the tonic first. But I used to do it. So then it's the same thing. It's the same book, Kite Runner. Fine. Now one of my friends, she works for Reuters. Reuters is the newspaper, it's one of the biggest newspapers out there. And so she's also read the same book. So I told her that why did you write it? I went to my full crying mode. I was like, because it's such a beautiful story. It's about this kid who's trying to find his life and everybody tells him. And did the whole thing. And she was like, good, very good. You made you cry. It's very good. What do you think about the economic situation which it represents, which happened in Afghanistan? I was like, hey. What? She's like, yeah, what do you think is the difference between the lower class and the upper class, which is represented in the book? I'm like, this is out of syllabus. Not mentioned in the book. But that is what she started saying, that have you ever thought about it, that every book which is written by an author, any book, any fiction book, it is always influenced by the climate it was written in. So Kite Runner, if you read, there are actually two parts. Just as I told you, there's this rich guy who has this person, the child who is the child of the worker. So now there are two people who have the same life, they go through the same thing, Taliban invades them, their home is destroyed. Fine. One of them has a really bad life, he has to leave his home, he was rich there, but he still gets to go to America. He becomes refugee there, but kind of gets the right. But then there's the second guy, the guy who was poor. He has no options, so they remain in Afghanistan. And this guy actually has to come and rescue this guy because they'll never have a hope of him. And the weird part is whenever we read a story, we just read the story and we judge a book by the story. That, okay, this is what that happened. Oh, it made me cry. It made me vibe. But maybe the book is not just about that. Maybe it's the story is just a medium for you to analyze that this is the story of so many people who might have gone through the same thing. So if you ask me that how you should read, I will say use story just as a medium to understand what the underlying theme the book is trying to get. Now, coming to the point which everybody remembered when I asked them, the number 429. Here's another thing. The decimal is after 4, so the number is exactly 4.29. So now try to guess what's the importance of that number. Fine. So again, now before you guess the importance of the number, we'll be moving on to the table topic session for today. So just keep guessing, keep thinking. The next session for today now, it's table topic session. It is by a Toastmaster who has been into Toastmasters for 1 year. She's a VP at a club, I guess. Like, there are too many introductions mixing up right now. Toastmaster Prashita. I'm really looking forward to a session because I remember when I was talking to her, she was kind of afraid about how the session is going to be conducted. But now I'm really looking forward because I know that she's going to do a good job. She has really good questions prepared, really good animations done. So everybody, with a huge round of applause, please welcome our Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Agneef. I would like to correct it there since you were judging the book by its cover, then maybe you misjudged me. I'm not the VP and instead president of my club. But okay, but not a problem, not a problem. We all are here to judge today the book by its cover because that's what Agneef has taught us just right before. So a very good afternoon to all of you. They all had rocked the stage very well, and now we all are prepared. And I can see your faces. You all look so bottled up to share your own perspectives, and maybe on the number 429 or something. But yeah, this is your chance. This is table topic session. This will help you develop your impromptu speaking skills and improve your persuasive skills in the personal as well as your professional life. So let me start with what I have today for the table topic session. Before going on to that, I would request the moderator in the offline venue, if you, I cannot see people there. So as to get a volunteer, I might need help of Toastmaster Agneef. Toastmaster Agneef, if you can help me gather the volunteers from the offline venue because I cannot really see them.
Yeah, nobody is selected here, I can tell you this.
Not a problem. I'll go on to online people first. And if we have any volunteers from the offline venue, we can sure have them on the stage at your place. Okay, so to volunteer for the table topic session to the online people, you can just raise your hands from the reactions given below in the Zoom section. In the below bar, if you can see it. And for the offline people, you just have to knock to Toastmaster Agneef that, hey, I want to participate. Okay, now let me share my screen. So since you all were judging the book by its cover, the first thing I get on and deleted the first page of this book of table topic session because I didn't want you all to judge that cover made by me. So this is our index page right now. What I want you to do is just like if you're not if you're a reader like me who just go onto the index page and dive into one of the sections and chapters and start reading randomly a book, this is a place where you have to do the same thing. And if you haven't done till yet, then this is the chance. It's amazing when you just look onto one page of the book and start reading randomly and start making assumptions that what is going to be ahead and what was there in the past. So here I have 3 sections to this table topic sessions. First is dive deep into your thoughts. Second is reflect on your reads, and third is creativity in your sword. You get to choose which chapter you want to read, and you get to choose which section you want to be in. First is dive deep into your thoughts. There are topics which will have random thoughts and you might have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes on those. Second is reflect on your reads. I have really great quotations from great books, which I might not have read, but yeah, I have listened to them and got recommendations from those. And third is creativity in your sword, where you get to prepare what you want to write in your own book. So there are pictures and you might want to make story out of them. So here are the sections from which you want to choose and the chapters. So let me gather the volunteers first who will go on and which section and chapter you want to go first. So do I have any volunteers in the online mode?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, I cannot see who is that.
Sandeep here. Sorry, Sandeep here.
Hi, Sandeep. So choose a section and choose a chapter.
Section 3, creativity is your sword.
Yeah, and chapter number?
That's chapter 2.
Okay. So let us go to the page number 15. It had been years since the black monsters covered the sky. You need to complete it. Your time starts now.
Yeah, it has been years since the black monsters covered the sky. I'm not talking of Harry Potter's black monsters, the death demons who take you to sky, but I'm talking of rainfall. You can see the entire earth is sparse. There is no crops. There is nothing around. Actually, we are all devoid of proper food because of the current situation. The black monsters are the clouds, the black dirty clouds, which actually bring in so much of rainfall, water, health. I would love to have this black monsters coming in every now and then during the monsoon seasons and covering this earth, because they give me food. The food which actually is given to my kids come from the earth, and that earth needs these black monsters. So again, as I said, these black monsters are not the so-called black monsters from the Harry Potter series, because when we tend to talk about monsters, it's always a negative connotation. But here, these monsters are being my positive arena of strength. And so I'm looking forward to these black monsters. Now, what do these black monsters do? I said they bring in rain. They can also bring in a lot of happiness, because rain means happiness. I heard that sunshine means happiness, but rains also mean happiness, because we have seen that. Go and ask the farmers out in India that whether sunshine means happiness or rain means happiness. I think rains do bring in happiness. So these black monsters are harbingers of happiness too. So for me, these black monsters, it's been years since black monsters covered the sky, and I'm looking forward to the black monsters covering the sky, except Bangalore, because it's been covered for the last so many weeks. I don't want the black monsters here. Maybe some part of the country where actually crops are grown, not in the city, which gets inundated and which gets waterlogged, and I have to actually buy a boat to travel. So please, black monsters, not in Bangalore, everywhere else. I think black monsters, I've been waiting for years to come. I need to put food on the table for my kids. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. I was very lucky to get out of Bangalore at the right time, since the black monster attacked it before the rain black monsters attacked it. So thank you so much for your attempt. Do I have next volunteer? I see Rohit raised his hand. Hi, Rohit.
Which Rohit are you referring to? There are two Rohits.
I can see Rohit Koga on my screen raising his hand. Okay, now it's down.
Okay. Okay, I've turned my video on. I'll take section 1, chapter 4.
Section 1, chapter 4. Okay. One book which taught you most important life lesson. Over to you.
All the bibliophiles over here, you might know, it's very difficult to say one book that has changed the way and given us an important life lesson. Now, for me, I'm not a reader. I've hardly read many books in life, but there are 2 or 3 books that I've read that have changed me. And there is one that will always stay close, because it gave me one lesson that stays with me for the last 10-15 years. And that book's name, I'll tell you towards the end of the topic. But the book was very simple. It just talked about one person, the author's experience and exposure to life versus different stories. And after each chapter, there was a valuable lesson that asked us that if we do this, it makes our life better. Something as simple as just making a smile is the most contagious aspect of a human being, right? Just ensuring that you use a person's name when you have a conversation with them goes a long way, rather than just saying, hey, how are you doing today? Just making sure that the one thing that I really liked was everyone around you, we have arguments, we have fights, we have difference of opinions, but the one thing that made it really impactful is you are exactly like the other person would be under similar circumstances, right? We often judge and tell people that, hey, you know what? It's very easy, just do this. Why can't you be better? Why can't you agree to what I'm saying? Why is it your thoughts are very different? But it's very simple to say that if we were under the same circumstances, same livelihood, same environment as the other person, probably we would be doing the same thing. We would be taking the same decisions. And that one line made me realize that there's no point in judging anyone around you. There's no point in having a difference of opinion. Yes, it's there, but you acknowledge it. And ladies and gentlemen, that book is Dale Carnegie's How to Influence People and Make Friends. That one book, I'm sure most of you have read it, but that book pretty much gave me some of the most valuable lessons, and it still holds me today, where I don't believe in judging people. I believe in respecting and acknowledging that everyone has their own way. And that's how we all are. Back to you, Prashita, sorry.
Prashita. Thank you so much, Rohit. That is really very important to actually not judge people and have respect for all. I think this is one of the things which I agree on since like 4 to 5 years after one incident, which I would share later because we have a line of volunteers up here. I can see Nishant has raised his hand. Hi, Nishant.
Yeah. Hello.
Sorry to interrupt. Before we move forward, can I request every online TTM speakers to please pin the timer? Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I see Nishant raised hand. Hi, Nishant.
Hello. Hello.
So choose your section and choose your chapter.
How will we pin the timer? Sorry for interrupting. How we pin the timer when somebody else is already sharing the screen?
I think you can just go to the 3 dots there on your panel and then replace your pin with that with the timer. I think. Is it working for you? Or I will stop sharing my screen after I give the topic.
Stop sharing after the person starts the topic.
Okay. Okay, Nishant.
Yeah.
A section.
Yeah, I'll go with section 3, chapter 3.
Section 3 and chapter 3. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Page
Okay,
number
okay,
16. Yeah. She couldn't see or hear, but she read and wrote. Over to you.
Yeah. So as we can see this image here, I don't know who this lady is, but yes, I could focus on the words like see and hear. So what do we think? Do we see things by our eyes? Or do we understand the world with our ears? So what about the people who are differently able? We don't call them disabled, but what about the people who are differently able? So everyone has one experience. Do you know about the Braille? How it is exactly written? We every day travel with lift. We also visit various public places. We could see there small dots mentioned over there. Can you just try putting your hand over it and understand what exactly it? Do one thing. Try one day. Get over there, see the lift buttons, try observing them, take a pen and paper and try noting it down and understand. And can you exactly remember those letters and words? It's very difficult, isn't it? Try it once. But how the people who are blind can read that? How can they understand? Can you see people talking with the sign languages? They make a lot of actions. We have 26 letters, we have 26 alphabets, and we make words and we study accordingly. But what about the people who are understanding with the just movement of their hands? Can you just imagine how difficult it is or how easy it is? So what I could say is it's not only about what we see and what we hear, but there is also a different way through which we can understand things. To understand this, we can just take inspiration from the people who are differently able, who are blind, then also they can understand what is going on in the world. They don't have eyes. They don't have these beautiful pictures and colors to understand, but still they're able to. The people who cannot hear, but still they have that understanding of the different motions and gestures of our hand. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nishant. The lady here is Helen Keller, who completed her bachelor's degree, even she couldn't see or hear. And we all agree that we are today finding motivation that why should we read? And here there people who have so much motivation in them that they cannot see or hear, but they read and wrote and made a beautiful life ahead. So thank you so much for that. Whom do we have next volunteer? Do we have anyone from the offline venue?
Yeah, hi Prashita. Yeah, so I'm going to push at least to like somebody from the offline venue right now. Also, like I think we just have time for 2 more. I'm really sorry, but we are really short on time. So yeah, at least one offline, any person who wants to attempt. Otherwise, we do after. Yes, sir.
Hi, may I know your name, please? Because it's very difficult. It's easy to get names in online, but yeah.
It's Velavan.
Sorry?
Velavan.
Velavan. So, hi, Velam. Choose a section and choose a chapter.
Section 2.
Section 2. Chapter number?
3.
3. Section 2, chapter 3, which is on page number 11. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Over to you, Willem.
So this, I think this book is, I mean, this lines are from the book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So the author is trying to tell that living in your present moment is the best way to live life. Like you tend to lose track of your time most of the time. So when you look in the so present moment has most of the you live in the present moment, like past is gone, future is not yet come. So living in the present moment is the best way to live. For lack of sound.
Thank you so much, Velam. We all are here at least in the offline venue. All of the people there are enjoying the present moment, and I really hope I would have been there to experience that. Thanks again. Do we have any other volunteer in the offline venue, or we can go ahead with the online venue? Okay. So I see. Okay, sorry, I couldn't see. Yeah. Can you please repeat your name? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Toastmaster Kirti.
Toastmaster?
Kirti Kumar Khasar.
Kirti. Hi, Kirti. Choose a section and choose a chapter.
Page number 10. I don't know what section that is.
Okay, page number 10.
Oh my God.
The simple things are also the most extraordinary things, and only the wise can see them. Over to you.
I come here and it straight away comes from the activist. Okay, so one thing I was reading, I mean, or maybe experiencing these days is a certain burst of energy sometimes, and sometimes certain low of energy. Has anyone experienced that sometimes you're very energetic, very high on energy? Everything, I can do everything in this world. I'll go tomorrow to Mars and I'll conquer Mars, that kind of energy. And then some days you're like low. Don't want to do anything, lazy, sit around. So these kind of things happen, and I thought it was only for me. But now I realize it's very common. The thing what I'm trying to say is like things are in front of us and we see them each and every day. But how many of us put that observation or that thing that, okay, This is something which is beyond what I'm just seeing or observing, right? One big thing which I always think of is like you have on the extreme ends of a rope, right? You have a thread extended. This extreme side is happiness, and this extreme side is somewhat sadness or something. No pun intended. So what happens when you are happy, extremely happy, and they are extremely sad? But imagine this thread folding upon itself, and these two ends coming together. And at this point, where these extreme ends meet, these two extreme emotions don't mean anything. You are the same person. Either you are very happy or very sad. You see things in the same way. Now it's all in front of us. But as the topic says, only the wise can see them. So you don't have to be a learned person or have to read 100, 200, 500, maybe thousands of books to be wise. Being wise is only thinking a little beyond, one step further from what you just saw or observed and make a conclusion about it.
Thank you so much, Kirti. And by this, I think we have come to the end of the table topic sessions as we are a little crunched on time. So thank you so much, all of you, for participating. It was beautiful to see all of your perspectives on these topics. I hope you all enjoyed the session, and I'll give the stage back to Toastmaster Aglev for the proceedings. Thank you.
Everyone, let me just take a poll. We're already at 1 almost, like 8 minutes left. But I think we began at 11:15. So can we wait for 15 minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Is everybody offline? Can you just give a thumbs up? Now it's a joke.
They can leave anytime.
Yeah. We don't want to listen to anyone. But yeah, so now, before I just introduce the GE, let me just wrap up the topic pretty quickly. So maybe it won't have that level of impact, but anyways, I need to get the topic out of my system. So what was the number, if anybody remembers it right now? 4.29. 4.29. Right. Anybody has a guess of what that number was about?
Only 4.29% of the people in the world read. No.
Was it 42.9%?
Not important. So just to make us confused.
It was 42.9%.
4.29.
4.29. Not 42.9. So 42.9% was just me making up a number. But actually this means something, right? 4.29. Okay, I'll give you another hint. 4.29 is 10 to the power 14. Anybody now? What do you think this is?
I don't know. Is it the number of books ever published? Into 10 to the power 14, you said, right?
Yeah.
Is it the number of books ever published? Is it something like that? I don't know.
Reading speed.
Okay, fine. Let's wrap it up. Okay, one thing. How many of you think that this number is actually important? Okay, what if I tell you that this number is related to a concept, and if you don't know it, your relationship might get affected? Like your partner will be like, oh my god, you don't even remember this about me. Then how do I even know you? You'll have proper fights about this. Fine. Everybody, any guesses? Nothing? Fine. So 4.29 10 to the power 14 hertz is actually the frequency of the color red. Fine. Now, why did I bring it out? What's the importance of color red? Fine. Danger, yeah. Stop the session. Thank you. No. The point was that actually, should you read was something, and this was the question which took me most time to understand. It took around 3 years to actually understand that what exactly happened. So this was this person, she was a friend of mine. On the WhatsApp status, she had posted that one day somebody asked me the definition of red, and I said, red is what you feel come out of your nose when you're angry. Red is what your body lights up when you see that one person which you really miss. Red is what flashes in front of your eyes when the car is crashing towards you. Red is what you sometimes feel when you see the sun and you think that life is good. And also at the same time, when you sometimes are so low that you think that life is not full of anything. That's what red is. And I said that exactly is not red. Like, red is a frequency, it's a wavelength. Like red is not that. And she's like, no, red is that. I'm like, no, it's a number. And then we can't get away it. She's towards me, she was like, you know what, you cannot think, why do you think red is important to us? Do you really think it's a number, which is just a random number, 4.25, 14, is suddenly important to us? Do you really think it is that, not the experience that will determine it? And then she left there, fine. And I was, at that point in time, I was like, no, she doesn't understand mathematics. Fine. But over time, I started understanding. You know, it's so weird that there's this bird known as a mannequin. It flaps its wings to make a sound. Beep, beep, beep. It used it to attract female. Fine. It was very weird. And what is a byproduct of that sound is that the bones to make that sound, they get heavy and the mannequins cannot fly anymore. So they essentially evolved this system. And everybody was like, oh, that is definitely because, you know, like nature has a tendency to prefer beauty. Nature has a tendency to do this and that. But then later on, scientists came and they're like, no. That is happening because one of the praise of that bird actually had that sound. So over time, it got ingrained in their system. And now they just make that sound and they just don't know. And they just like it so much that it's what has become. Finally, cannot do anything about it. So what's the point of all this? Why I'm telling you this? Why I'm telling you this is, remember what's the first answer which Varun Grover gave? The chair you're sitting on is poetry. Looks random. I was like, okay. But there's a huge amount of reality. When we started evolving as humans, one of the first things which we had to come up with was rhythm. Because we needed time, we needed to understand when the day was happening, when the night was happening, when this some particular animal will show up at a certain time. So we started having rhythm. We started having the 4 beats, which you always say was the pop song and just jam it into it. That was what it was. Then we got that rhythm, we can't get ingrained within us. We needed that. From that rhythm came out poetry. From that poetry, people started telling stories because that is how we start understanding the universe. It evolved to do that. Right now, you see persons like Donald Trump use "Make America Great Again," and one of the leaders in India use "Ab ki bari atal bihari." What are these? These are poems, just small versions of them. These are the politics which somehow lead that where the money goes in the system. And maybe one day the guy who actually had to make the chair, he was sad, and somebody just said, you know what? Lehron se dar kar nauka paar nahi ki koshish karne walon ki haar nahi. The English version of that might be just making the eye of the tiger. And that guy got inspired and he finally made that chair. What he means by that is, even if today you ask me that should we even read, should we even write, should we even read 10 poetry anyways? My answer to that would be, you cannot help but do it. Because that is what it is built as. We are humans, we grew up to tell stories. And if today I tell all of you, just stop telling stories. Fine, I'm an authoritative fellow, you won't be there. You're going to go to your roommate, you're going to go to your wife, you're going to go to your friend and be like, you know, there was this guy wearing big specs and messy hair who said this to me. And without even knowing, you're telling a story about the character that is. The reason you should read is because that is what you're kind of grown up to do. We invented things in order to make things easier for us, but towards the end of all of it, stories will always matter in our life. And that is why you should read. Thank you so much. That's the end of my session today. With this, I'll be giving the stage to the general evaluator, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster team. And so finally, we are coming to the last segment, to the third segment of today's meeting. That is the evaluation. Now, for the evaluation, this is going to be divided into 3 parts. The first one will be about the evaluator coming up and giving the evaluation for the respective speakers. The second part will be, I'll be calling on the tag team who will be giving their reports. And finally, the third one will be, I'll give the overall evaluation of the entire meeting. Now, to begin with, may I, for our first speaker for the day, Toastmasters Sophie, may I request Toastmasters Sarita, who is his evaluator, please give the evaluation.
Sure. Thank you, General Evaluator. That was a wonderful speech, TM Shovik. So let me elucidate. I'm going to use the following format. to share the feedback, what you excelled at, what you may want to work on, and what you can go ahead and challenge yourself with. So that's how I'm going to look at the feedback format. So what did you excel at? I think I really found you very comfortable. I don't know how you felt otherwise, but when we looked at you, I felt you were calm, you were composed, you were confident. Your body language was not very stiff. You used your hand gestures very well. You interacted with the audience. You asked questions very confidently. You used the thumbs up and thumbs down. So that was excellent. You excelled at that. You also used humor in the right way. I think there were little jokes here and there that really tickled our funny bone, because humor also needs to be played in a well-balanced manner. And I think you did it today. So good, you excelled at that. And having that sensibility as a speaker is very important. I also felt that you excelled when it came to your vocal variety. You used volume, eye contact, gesture as your tool. You were very clear. Your spoken language was clear and easily understood. So thumbs up for all that. You may want to work on. I felt that, you know, while you had very positive body gesture, I felt you were moving a little too frequently, right? It could be like on one foot or the other foot, or it was just like few steps to one side and to the other side. It wasn't very distracting, but I noticed it. So that means, you know, somewhere it might create a interruption to your speech. So that's something that I would request you to work on. That's a recommendation from my end. So that's something that I want you to work on for your next speech. To challenge yourself, what I felt was that the purpose of the entire speech was you to tell us about the impact of communication style on you know, share about how different communication style can have an impact on you or others. And what I felt was basically you looked at different communication styles, but you didn't really took us through this concept of how can the communication style have an impact. So something that I would want you to challenge yourself is the content can be, it was interesting, but you can construct it well. And you can really look at including your communication, impact of your communication style, because that is the purpose of the speech. So those are the two things that I would recommend. And that's it from me, TM Shovik. You did a good job, and you know, thanks for you know, listening to me. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmasters Sarita. Your wonderful evaluation. You have covered all the points in terms of what went well and what could have been improved. I don't have any other points to add on to your evaluation. Kudos and give a round of applause for Toastmasters Sarita. Right, now we have the evaluator for our second speaker, Toastmasters Sandeep. So to evaluate Toastmasters Sandeep, we have Toastmaster Dipanjan as the evaluator. Toastmaster Dipanjan.
Yeah, thank you, General Evaluator. Yeah, I will be evaluating Sandeep. So, the first, we often have this saying that, you know, the first impressions, you know, matters the most. Judging a book by its cover. So, I mean, we shouldn't be judging a book by its cover, but we do judge a book by its cover. That's the unfortunate reality. I have rarely seen a person who comes, you know, very well dressed to give a speech, and Sandeep actually did that pretty well. So, you know, the first impressions really matter, because the first impression is we don't hear you, we don't listen to you, we actually see you. So that's very important. So that kudos to that one. I mean, it might be very nitpicking, but it's very important that people come presentable, and Sandeep just is that. Now coming to the speech, which is the delivery and the content. I will just first go with the content of the speech. I will say what's the good, bad, and then the delivery, good, bad. Okay. So first, when it comes to the content of the speech, It was a speech with purpose. I mean, you made us know beforehand that it is many a times that it is the leader who actually determines how the pack of wolves will behave or the pack of donkeys will behave. That's very important. So there was a clear-cut message we were looking forward to. And in parts, bits and pieces, we were able to do that when it comes to the content. And also another important one was the structure of the speech. Because, I mean, when our brains are good at pattern recognition, when we see a good intro, a body and a conclusion, it just sticks to our head. We are always puzzle solving, problem solving and solving puzzles in our head. So if the speech has no proper structure, it has no structure, it does not really entertain us that much. So that's very important. There was a structure to your speech, so you ace those two parts. But when it comes to the content, I will the not so good part I would actually say is, few days back I actually went to watch a movie. Now the name of the movie is not very important, but they had a very big star cast in the movie. Okay. Now the problem is when you try to fit in too much thing in a 5 to 7 minutes, there had been 7 to 8 points, even mentioning the 7 to 8 leadership traits and so on and so forth. I would suggest you maximum stick to 3 leadership traits. If you do that, that will be easier. So it won't be bam, bam, bam. This leadership trait, you just speak for, let's say 20, 30 seconds, and then you move to the other one. So you elaborate on leadership trait. Just do that, that will be better. Now, when it comes to the delivery of the speech, even if the look wise it was perfect, I would advise to stand up and speak. It's very, I know we are the default mode, we end up sitting up and speaking when we are in an online mode. It's better if you stand up and speak. That will be really, really good. Your hand gestures were great. I think you were overusing your right hand, but it will be better if you try to do with your left hand too, and try to stand up and speak and try to use a bit of stage view. Other than that, you ace the speech, but make sure you pack it in a few words. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Now, to add to Toastmasters Dipanjan's evaluation, I have a few points. Although I agree with most of the points which Toastmaster Dipanjan has given. Now, Toastmaster Sandeep, if I may add, when you started off with the speech, you spend, because in Toastmaster, as a speaker, we have a time of 5 to 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So that is a very, very crucial time. And you started off with an intro that, okay, hey, thanks Neve, and thanks to everybody. That kills a lot of time. Secondly, since it's a club which is based out of Bangalore, we have many people who does not understand Hindi as well. There are a lot of Hindi phrases which you have used, although I can relate to it, but I know a very few. I mean, there might be a very few number of people who doesn't understand Hindi. Now, as a speaker, you have to connect with the people. How do you connect? Now, whenever you are using any language other than English, the moment that the other audience is not able to connect with you, it's like a Chinese version for me. So the audience is getting out of connect from you, right? So that gives up, the impact is not getting much over there. And thirdly, there was another joke we wanted to make, which from spoken word as a Toastmaster, you all are familiar with. But however, since this is a club which has 4 clubs coming together, we do not know the conquer. What was the about the joke all about, right? So when you say that if all the spoken word member already know about that every word, so I don't know, I got disconnected from that joke, right? So when you have to come up with that, it is very important that you make your speech in such a way that you will be always try to engage with the maximum audience. And last but not the least, that you have to be very, very specific about your timing. So when you are practicing about your speech, try to figure all your speech and try to keep some buffer time so that you can conclude your speech well ahead of time. With that, I would all the best to both the speaker and the evaluator. It's a round of applause for
General evaluator, Dipanjan here. I will just want to act. I actually picked up this small part, the small objection which I told to Sandeep. I had attended a corporate meeting a few weeks back, and there was an objection raised on the casual usage of a non-native language. So in this case, it was Hindi. So it's better. It was a brilliant speech, but it was better if we actually respect the linguistic sentiments of localites and we stick to that. Other than
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Dipanjan. Round of applause. Great. Now, moving on to our third speaker for the day, Toastmaster Rohit. So may I request his evaluator, Toastmaster Sonal, to please present your evaluation.
This is general evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, yes, and Toastmaster Rohit in particular. What I really liked about your speech was how you started with a quotation by Raghuram Rajan, and then you spoke very confidently, very convincingly, very compellingly. I know it's a topic that's very close to your heart because you spoke with so much conviction, so much confidence. You were so comfortable about what you were speaking. And I know it came straight from your heart because this is a matter that is close to you, and I was able to connect with that. Now, coming to what I absolutely loved about your speech was the message, which is the crux of a speech, that we have to learn something from everybody, even from vendors who we normally overlook. We have to constantly reinvent ourselves time and again and again, and how we can be patrons to vendors instead of buying from international markets, be patrons to our own people, and how we can impact the lesser privileged with education. So I thought you covered it really well, and considering this is your second project, I think you did exceedingly well. I think we can congratulate you on Toastmasters in just your second project. So I think you're far ahead than most of the Toastmasters. Now, any good speech can be made better, and to make this speech of yours better, I have just two recommendations for you. So initially, when you started off, you were talking like this. So this is an indication of a closed body language. I would suggest you to keep your body language more open, which you did towards the later part of your speech, because you got more comfortable with this stage. So when you keep your open body language, you connect with the audiences better, it becomes more inclusive, we become one. Don't disconnect, this disconnects you from the audience. And the second is, I thought that could have been like a game changer for your speech. You said, what is it that we can learn from them? Toastmasters, what is it that we can learn from them? You could have asked them, you could have asked all of us, we would have raised our hands and answered you. And then you would have engaged the audience. We would have been further hooked to your audience. It would have made it more effective, more impactful. All in all, I love the opening, I love the confidence, I love the message. I would suggest you to work on the body language and make it more interesting by adding questions. And I'm sure this speech of yours will go on to become an even greater presentation. And with that, Rohit, I wish you all the very best for your forthcoming speeches.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonal. And I would like to add a few points for Toastmaster Sonal. One was, so for Toastmaster Rohit, I would add that on the good points, although you are very new to the Toastmaster, you present yourself a very confident way of speaking. Your voice, your intonation, the way you spoke represents that you are confident on the stage. And it's very tough to come. I mean, being a new member when you are on the physical stage, and it's very tough to keep up that confidence. And you did very well as we come up. Kudos to that. There are a few things which you can improve on your overall speech. You give a wonderful some cartoons about the vendors, which we can connect. But to add it up to the next level of connection, if you had put some masala, I would say, because when you are giving speeches, people love to get entertainment. And how do you make entertainment? You can make it a personal story. And in this case, when you are giving the examples of the people of the Bhelpuri, right? So you can say that, okay, I know I have, this uncle, or maybe you can just give a random name. Ramu Kaka was the Bhelpuri wala whom I used to love in the school days. Whom I always used to go and chat and have my chat as well. Right? So the moment you put something personal like that, people will connect with you. Right? So that would have been taken up your speech one more. But apart from that, everything was very good. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Toastmaster Rohit and Toastmaster Sonal. Yeah, that was the one actually. Yeah. And okay, now moving on to my second part of the general evaluation report. May I request our tag team? So I request our timer for the day, Toastmaster Tanmay, to please present your report.
Thank you, General Manager Toastmaster Sankhya. The report for today is as follows. We have one disqualification because of exceeding the disqualification time, which is 8 minutes 13 seconds by Toastmaster Sandeep in the prepared speeches. Rest everyone is well within the time. Thank you and over to you.
Thank you. Now, may I request our counter for the day, Toastmaster Ayush, to please present your report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sankhya. First of all, can we have a huge round of applause for all of us who joined the meeting in an online as well as an offline mode, even on a Sunday morning instead of sleeping on beds. Moving on, I would like to share my screen and share my report. So on an overall level, I admire the fact that no one coughed or took a long pause during the meet. But at the same time, we all overuse the word and so. Moving on to the granular level, we see that people who spend the maximum time on the stage overuse the words like and so. So I hope that this report elucidates the uses of overused words, and we will make conscious efforts from now on in order to minimize the usage of these words. So that's all from my side. Thank you everyone, and over to you, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ayush. A round of applause for Toastmaster Ayush. And now we have the final tag team member, and that's the grammarian. For that, may I request Toastmaster Shubham to please present your report.
It was a pleasure listening to all the speakers today, especially the prepared speeches part, like where you had a diverse set of topics chosen by the speakers. One was related to cricket, other was leadership quality, and the final speech was the business lessons or the business lessons. So beginning with the prepared speeches part, the first speaker, Toastmaster Shobik, well, you brought back a lot of memories from our childhood, like seeing India win the NatWest Series final in 2002 against England. You refreshed a lot of memories. It was a wonderful speech. There were lots of good usages. I have noted some of them. I would like to narrate some of those usages. So some of them were ambitious, flourished, perspective, and upbringing. So there was a couple of the good usages that I noted. Coming to the recommendations part, at the beginning of your speech, you mentioned having a conversation with your mentor wherein you were confused. Like, what are these different styles of communication? So you mentioned there, what is the different style of communication? So there was a singular plural mismatch there. You can use what are the different styles of communication. I'm sure you will definitely correct that. And later on, like when you were mentioning about the conversation that you're having with your mentor, so your mentor told you to sort of research by yourself. So there you use the phrase explore yourself. So usually when we are asked to dig deep into something, we use the phrase explore by. So that is one correction. And coming to the end of the speech, you mentioned there was a tense mismatch, I felt. So you mentioned like after Saurav Ganguly became the captain, India started winning tournaments like the NatWest series and all. So you could have mentioned that after he became the captain, like the team became better and they won these particular tournaments, so that you can avoid the tense mismatch. Overall, it was an excellent speech, and you brought back a lot of those golden memories from childhood. All the best for your forthcoming speeches. Coming to the second speaker, Toastmaster Sandeep, your speech was rich in vocabulary. My hand started paining noting down the good usages. There were so many of those. I would like to tell some of those usages. Some of them were ponder, premise, unparalleled, imperative, rapport, empathetic, outliers, dystopian, prodding, These were a couple of the good usages, and some of the words I need to really search the meaning of. Even I'm not aware of some of the meanings of the words. Coming to the recommendations part, I didn't notice any such like a bad usage or something, or tense mismatch, or there was a singular plural mismatch. It was a very good speech. Coming to the third speaker, Toastmaster Rohit, your speech was also quite rich in vocabulary. Some of the good usages were marginalized, unicorns, inventory, agility, fluidity, sustain, patronage, intellect. Coming to the recommendations part, there was an instance where you mentioned, about tasting good food at a place. So there you mentioned it was such a good food. Usually, when we refer to food in general, we mention such good food. Like if it was a specific food item, you could have mentioned it was such a good sambar or something like that. So when you're referring to food in general, you can just mention such good food. Finally, coming to the table topic speakers. So this is sort of, I've noted it on a, like what I've done is I've noted down the good usages and not so good usages of all the speakers, and I'll be giving a collective feedback. So some of the good usages I noted from all the speakers that I listened to were sparse, devoid, connotation, harbingers, bibliophiles. Coming to the not so good usage, there was one instance which I found. So one of the speakers mentioned that they've hardly read many books in life. So I felt there was a sort of mismatch here. He or she could have used, I have not read many books in life, because hardly refers to a very small amount, and many also was used in the same sentence. So there was this mismatch there. Overall, I would say this meeting was like, after listening to all the speakers, this meeting was like, I got to learn a lot of words, especially from Toastmaster Sandeep. And finally, coming to the usage of the word of the day and the phrase of the day, the word of the day was used by Toastmaster Sandeep once, Toastmaster Sarita once, and Toastmaster Ayush once during when he was presenting the report. Coming to the phrase of the day, it was used by Toastmaster Sandeep 3 times. As I said before, on the whole, I'd say this meeting, I got to learn a lot from the speakers, their different styles and their, different words that they used in their speeches. This is something that I can definitely imbibe in my Toastmasters journey, my speech journey. So I would cherish this meeting for quite some time, definitely. So yeah, that was my report. Over to you, General Evaluator.
And with that, we completed the second part of the general evaluation report. Now moving on to the third part of the meeting. Now the third part will consist of how the meeting run from the starting till the end. And so the meeting started a little bit late because of the technical formalities and the technical setting up of the physical meeting room. It started at 11 or 10. The meeting was started by the Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Vartika. Toastmaster Vartika, as a Sergeant at Arms, were very energetic because you were the face of the meeting. We can see that energy you reflected when you started, and you were very anxious that why is the meeting starting on time? So let's start the meeting, and that shows how much passionate you are towards about being in the role. Now, you're also very engaging as well because you started asking questions about the theme of the meeting, why you should read. And then you rightly pointed out the various rules of the meeting that the role takers has to rename themselves and the mobile phone is to be switched off. But something which could have been better as well, because it's a physical meeting, the shaking of hand, which was completely missing out in today's meeting, which I can see, that could have been referred to. And also, although Toastmaster does not mention that you should not speak about sex, religion, and politics, but however, you could have said that if anything related with that can be avoided, or it should not hurt anyone's sentiment, that could have been added to the brownie points as well. But with that, we're doing a great job. Let's give a round of applause for this. Then the meeting, the baton was passed on to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Saket. and Toastmasters Circle was very energetic to start off with the meeting, and we come up with a lot of engaging questions, which was great. And then let's give a round of applause for Toastmasters Circle. And then it was passed on to our presiding officer, the second presiding officer, Toastmaster Aloysius. So Toastmaster Aloysius gave about the mission and the core value of the Toastmasters. He rightly took out the guest introduction as well. Didn't miss out the offline or the online meeting. He took very care of that. And but something could have been added, because you gave a good introduction of the Capitaland as a club. But since we are 4 clubs here, and you are also representing not only one club, all the 4 clubs, a little bit of intro for all the 4 clubs would have been enhanced. That's one. But apart from that, it's a great job. Let's give a round of applause for Great. And now that was next passed on to the very energetic and super Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Agnew. Toastmaster Agnew, as we all know, and this is the first time I'm seeing him also as a Toastmaster of the day in that role. He's super energetic, super, his overall the content was very, very engaging. I haven't seen such engaging the content as a Toastmaster of the day for a long time. Excellent job done. His voice was clear. He was very, very confident, being a very pro speaker. He took out a lot of things, because this topic could have been a very boring one, but how he made it into a very engaging and a very interesting topic, that is something very wow kind of a moment. He added a lot of humor. He added the props as well. He opened up the chart, and you were wondering whether he's going to be chartless. I know he used the phrase that one should not judge a book by its cover. So I was wondering that whether one should not judge a shirt by its cover. But then we found out that, okay, no, under the shirt there is another t-shirt. We'll save the day. But that was a great engaging one. In terms of the little bit of improvement which happened, one is Toastmaster Agnew was very, very passionate about the overall theme or overall content. But something which has been missed out was not ready with the title of the speeches, number one, and second, he was not ready with the introduction of some of the role takers, which is very important as well. And thirdly, Professor Agnew, you have been such a great speaker. We were just wowed. We never saw that how time was passing by, but then I saw that that we took a lot of time on that. So as a Toastmaster of the day, you also have to ensure that you are keeping the entire meeting on time as well. But kudos, and let's give a huge round of applause for Toastmaster Agnew. Okay, now the last and the final evaluation for the table topic, Master Toastmaster Prashita. Toastmaster Prashita, what a beautiful way you started off about. You took the entire theme of the table topic with the concept of the theme of the day, the books, and I haven't seen such a wonderful way of opening up. You are very cheerful as a table topic master, which is very important, because you are in a challenging position where you need to engage with both the online and the offline speaker. So you have to ensure that everybody should get a fair enough opportunity. Now, in terms of the improvement area, number one, as a table topic master, most of us, we know how the table topic works, but there are many guests over here who is coming for the first time. It would have been better you could have explained what is a table topic. Is an impromptu session, how much time we should be spending on that. That was missing out, 1 to 2 minutes, minimum 1 minute and maximum 2 minutes, 30 seconds. That should have been clearly stated out. The second one was, as the overall the theme which you are coming up with, or the topics which you are coming up with, they are very long to remember. As a speaker, when they are coming on board, already there is a kind of tension that what I'm going to speak, or it happens. So if you keep your topics short and crisp, that will be easy to remember for the audience, for the speaker as well. And apart from that, I think you did a great job. And this last but not the least, in terms of the technicality. because it's an online session and offline as well, when you keep on sharing your screen, the timer will not be able to share his or her Zoom meeting or the Zoom timing as well. So the speaker will have a little bit of difficulty in seeing the timer. So that was a technical part, but overall it's a great engaging session, and every one of us really enjoyed for the day. Let's give a round of applause for Well, that's all my complete final general evaluation report for today. And before we go up, I request our the last presiding officer for today, and I would like to pass on the baton to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Prashita from Fractal Club.
Thank you so much, Sagar. This meeting was so refreshing. I did not expect my Sunday morning to be like this, and I hope all of you enjoyed that much as I did. Big round of applause for all of us for coming in here and spending this beautiful Sunday morning with ourselves. So I really like to thank Toastmaster Saket for reaching out to us and have this collaborative meeting and linkers meet. It was a wonderful experience. I think all of the 4 clubs learned something or the other from all of the role takers, all of the leadership team which helped in organizing this. So we all took a lesson here, and we all learned many new things, and I hope we continue doing such meets in future also. With this, I would like to now pass on the stage to Toastmaster Tanmay for his closing remarks, as we are really short on time, and I would like to end here. Over to you, Toastmaster Tanmay.
Thank you, presiding officer, Toastmaster Prashita. Just get over it. Say 2 words, thank you, and go. But let me trust you. I'll take 5 minutes. Not 2 words, but 5 minutes. First of all, I'm going to ask you all to look at the screen and use these QR codes to provide your feedback and voting. Scan these QR codes to provide your, first of all, the voting link, and then you can also provide as a feedback. If you have any questions, you can also connect with us offline. We can take this offline, we can circle back to you, and we'll get back to you. Now, I hope everyone has taken these screenshots. Can someone please put the photo in the group as well? May I request Sankhya to do the same? Okay, all right.
Tanmay, sorry. Tanmay, are we voting first?
Yes, you can use either of the link. We will circulate the results later after the meeting, because we are already running short on time. And some of the people are looking at me like they are so hungry that they can eat me. Now, first of all, I would like to thank our wonderful Toastmaster Anil for the wonderful job. And while you all are voting and looking at the screen instead of me, that's good. That's good. May I request all of you to keep your phone down for a small activity? People online or offline, I'll be putting these QR codes in the groups as well. Now, let's do one thing. Take your right hand, take your left hand, and bring them together repeatedly to clap for everyone present in the meeting. First for all of the role takers, the guests who are present here to make this a wonderful meeting, to all the hard work that has gone behind the meeting, from the PR work by Nishant to logistic support by Saket and Sankhya. If it is not for these folks from all of the club, Prashita, Mansi, and the list goes on and on, this meeting would not be here, and you would all be resting at home eating your lunches probably. But we do have something. We have a high tea arranged for you just outside this meeting room, and for that, and sorry guys, online folk, this is only offline. We can send you photos as you are looking at us. You can look at the photos as well. With this, I conclude this rendezvous meeting to be a success and close this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Now, may I request you to